Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and like I say every week, this is Plan in Traffic. We do it every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and this is where the grown folks talk about car stuff. So, if you want to talk to us, go to YouTube, check it out on the chat, and we can answer your questions. We might tell you the right thing or the wrong thing. What's up, Ray?
Yeah, sometimes we even lie about it, but it's all in good fun. So,
That's right.
and sometimes we cry about it because that's what happens. You get bit, you cry, and then you come back and you fight another day.
We learn a lot here from people that chat in, that come in and chat with us. We have special guests that come on and tell us tech questions and answers. So feel free to tell your friends that this is the place to be Thursday nights.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you wanted to talk this week about maintenance and maintenance items, right?
Yes, sir. What do you got?
I always have something where that's concerned. And just today, I was working on a vehicle that came back to the shop. It's a Jeep, a Wrangler. And, this guy has a bad habit. He bought a Mustang about a year ago, a Mustang convertible off eBay. And it looked great. I'm sure it looked great in the ad. And it came in with no brakes. And pretty odd for a fully restored car to have no brakes, but
Yeah.
walked in and said, "Man, nice convertible. The interior's done. Paint is nice. Wow." Raised it up on the lift about 3 feet, and anything you could see underneath was nice and silver. And then when I got it up all the way and started looking, I saw that everything was just all the rusted stuff was just painted.
Wow.
The exhaust was painted. The guy went out of the way to paint front end components, tie rod ends, but leave the boots with the split boots with the grease hanging out.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a mess. It was a total mess. But under the hood, the engine was detailed. All the stickers were on it. It was actually it was done. I think the car was done in stages by maybe different shops.
Mm-hmm.
Because that stuff, all the stuff on top looked really nice, and the engine and transmission ran well, performed well, didn't smoke, everything was cool there. But underneath, they just kind of painted everything. And then, I found a brake problem. He had a blown wheel cylinder, and of course, you pull the wheels, and I don't know for sure, but I think he paid more than $20,000 for this car, and pull the drum and parts fall out, and everything that was in there was rusty. So there was no attention paid to the workings of the brakes.
Right.
Changed the wheel cylinder. I changed all the hardware, changed the shoes, everything new, all the way around. And then I did a couple other things and started pointing out all these bad, what do you call it? Things that were not maintained. So
Right.
he takes the car back. It comes back a week later, and he says he's got no brakes again. And I what the heck is going on? So they had kept the four-wheel drum, but somebody converted it to a dual master cylinder. The takeaway here is just because somebody does something, don't ever assume they did it right.
Right.
Because that's not a hard thing to do. It really is not. So the same wheel cylinder blew again. I was like, well, damn, what's going on? Bad part? What's happening? No, I found out. I'll fast forward to the punchline where they put the distribution block in to split the system front and rear. Mm-hmm. Nobody looked for a diagram in a manual because they had the left front and the two right wheels on one circuit and the right front wheel on a separate circuit. So that one wheel was getting as much pressure as the other three. That's why the wheel cylinder was blowing out.
Yeah.
So I had to go through a combination. Actually, Brian helped me out because it was a Mustang, and I go right to him. Mm-hmm. And then I called a buddy who has a Mustang that he restored, and I asked him to look at that block and call out where each line went. And I made a diagram, and between Brian and my buddy Vinny, I got all the info, and then how to fix it. Well, it ends up this guy it came back again for more work, and we put more money into it, and he paid every time. And I heard his wife was really pissed off at him because he spent too much on the car. Now he paid us 3 times to do work on on it. But now at least it was safe and in good shape.
Right.
Well, I hear he sold it and took a bath. He was never going to get the money back that he spent, probably to keep his marriage happy. And then what happens? The end of last season, I guess it was around September. He rolls in with this Jeep rolls in that's got this big American flag wrap on it and all. I'm like, wow, that's, who's that? Ah, that's the guy that had the Mustang. It's like, this guy doesn't learn, does he? Let's take a look at the Jeep. And the first thing I noticed is the wheels and tires are wrong. They didn't use it's too much positive offset, so the wheels are sticking out past the fenders.
Mm-hmm.
Not by a lot, almost by an acceptable amount. It looks kind of tough. It looks like a little Tonka truck, but if they would have put the right wheels on, they could have offset it and put some negative offset in, and made those wheels fit better. Because when I drove it, I was getting a vibration from the wheels, like the wheels and tires were too big. Well, I hear now, it came back now, he wants to go with bigger wheels and tires. It's like, what? So I actually looked at it today and said, he's got 15-inch rims on there now. And he couldn't have used, well, I don't think he put these wheels on. He bought it this way. But you couldn't have used a different offset because at 15 inches, it would have hit the suspension. I did look online for the same wheels and saw that now everything is 17 and 18. And at that diameter, they would fit and offset inside more. But that wasn't the maintenance thing I found. I just pulled all the hoses off it today. I'm going to do all the fluids. And of course, I found the power steering fluid that I took out of this thing looked like motor oil. It really does. And I was sucking it out with turkey baster, and it had the consistency of like 5W30, not like power steering fluid. So again, not knowing who was in there before, the maintenance was not done correctly. So now we're going to do it right. So,
It almost pays to pay a couple more dollars to buy a one owner vehicle or buy a vehicle off somebody what they did to it.
Yeah. I don't know where he got this thing. I don't know if it was local or what. It's not the worst thing vehicle, but it's I was telling my buddy's father who hangs out at the shop. I said, he deals with my buddy who owns the shop, and obviously he goes through him and gives him the car to fix. I said, if he would have just told him, because he's a local guy, listen, would you come look at this car with me, or can I have it brought to your place just to have you get eyes on it before I pull the trigger? Because he's going to give it to him. He's going to give it to us to work on anyway. If he would have done that and even thrown him $100, $50, $100, to check it out, he could save himself a ton of misery. Because if he still wanted, like this vehicle in particular, if he still wanted it, we could have easily picked out things that would have been selling points, reasons to knock some money off it.
Or haggle points, yeah. Right,
and that didn't happen. He paid whatever he paid, and now he's paying us again. Maybe he's got to stash money. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm so used to not having money, stupid money like that I'm always watching what I'm spending, and you want to get the most. You want to make that dollar. Treat those nickels like manhole covers. You kind of hang on to them. You want to get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, and what really sucks is when you do something and then you find out you did it wrong and it costs you double the money to fix it. You know what I mean? So. Oh,
I could tell you story after story. With that Mustang, one of the last things, it came back the third time. And I was like, what now? We did all the mechanical stuff. And the boss says, well, he wants to put these the newer Repro seatbelts in. There were seatbelts in the back, but not in the front. Mm-hmm. I said, that's kind of weird, because if this car, and the belts in the back were original. So I said, if it had belts in the back, it had to come with belts in the front. That's right. Just how they did it. So what I found was nice new carpet. The interior had been redone. The bolt holes for the seatbelts on the tranny tunnel were there. I looked from underneath and I saw them. I made the holes in the carpet, but the outside holes, the threaded holes, were nowhere to be found. And then I figured it out. I saw that underneath they did metal work, and kind of use these metal patches. The guy who did the metal work on the car, and there was a lot of it, he probably had this car was probably gutted, and they probably told him fix all the all the rusted metal, cut it out. So he probably did that and
Then look at the holes.
and never thought ahead, because his job isn't to put in seatbelts and do finish. He's probably just a metal guy, right? Yeah. So he wasn't thinking of the next guy, and that car went through metal, it went through carpet, went through interior, and I guess the interior guy at one point went to put the belts in and says, "Oh man, I can't. What am I going to do?" Talked to the boss, and they probably said, "Leave him out. Forget it. It's too late." So now I'm talking to the guy that I work for and said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "To find those holes, to locate them, I got to take out some of this metal the guy welded in. So now I got to cut out metal and then see what's under that metal." So the question is, was that even done right, or was that just a patch on a pig?
Yeah, they might have cut the holes out too.
Right. So we both looked at the car and said, okay, you know what? Let's go home tonight and we'll each think of like what we want to do. And tomorrow we'll compare notes and we'll decide what to do. And what we decided to do was drill through the inner panel until the drill came through the outer panel under the car, went right through, and we used longer bolts. And we said, hopefully we'll catch enough metal. We'll know, you'll know when you're tightening it if you got good metal or not.
Right.
And that's what we did. That's how we attached those seatbelts. So at least he had something. It wasn't the exact right way, but we decided not to undo what was already done metal wise.
Right. Yeah, you never know. One time I was hauling cars for a guy. He was a body guy, and so he'd send me to Baltimore to the port, pick up cars. So I went down one day, and I get there, and the guy's looking at me. He goes, "You're here to pick up this car?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's only a half a car." What do you mean a half a car? So he takes me around. I go around to the side, and it's cut down the middle, like
long ways.
Down the middle of the car. Yeah, long ways.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if this guy knows this is a half a car. So I called him. I was like, "Hey, this is a half a car." He goes, "Yeah, I know. Bring it up." So I brought it up, and he had a wrecked car there, and this was the other side of that wrecked car.
Wow. Okay.
And he put that car together, and you would never know.
Yeah.
And that's what's so scary is he was a good body guy, so I would trust his car on the road. But think about other guys that aren't good body guys putting cars together.
Right.
You don't know what you have, man. I mean, how do you know if a car has been cut in half?
And I've seen cars like that will piece together I've never seen one side to side, but I've seen, back halves and, plenty. Actually, at the shop, since their main business is a body shop, he's bought some wrecks. He bought a Silverado, he bought a Terrain, and he bought something else, of a minivan that were, they would end up, the insurance company told him the customer didn't want it. So he bought it from them for like scrap value or whatever, transferred the title. And then they like on the Silverado, they had to do a whole front frame on the thing, frame and nose, because it was really blasted. The Terrain was the same thing. They did like major structure, but their business is a body shop. So
right.
I'm looking at these things afterwards saying, wow, you would never know it. That's if they do it right.
Right. Let's get the fellas in and see what they're talking about.
Yes, sir. Brian.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Pretty good.
How's the suntan looking?
No suntan, man. Work. That's all we had time for.
Oh, that's no fun.
Hey, I've seen some pretty nice equipment out there.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Surprised. I tell you, some of those toolboxes. Well, now with the wrap, that's that wrap thing. Those boxes were pretty crazy. With the wraps, the ones I posted. So,
I have to say this, that Matco's hitting it pretty hard. I mean, they were actually really active on social media, and a lot of dealers have been putting stuff up, which is You know, it looks like they're making a push.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know.
Yeah, they it was I mean, I don't know how else to really say it, but you know, they're coming around, you know, before, you know, they were you know, it's a very fine line. You know, it's on the razor's edge because you know they want to put the stuff out there, but they don't want the competition to know what you have until that time. And you know, like I said, so you know, it's just you know, they want you to watch what you post, but they want you to post.
Right.
And you know, it gets kind of complicated. Some guys get in trouble, you know, because they start posting all kinds of stuff or being inside. And I think it was like that one guy, that Jersey Tool guy.
Oh, I know the guy you mean.
Yeah. I know he's not, he used to be a Mac distributor.
Yeah.
And he had a post on there, like, and he said that he snuck into their convention and was taking pictures. You know, you know, like I said, you know, we're pretty strict about stuff like that. They're really careful, but it has lightened up. So, like I said, there was, and it was funny because there were, a lot of guys were doing demos of their tools, and it was funny that you had to make sure it wasn't somebody from Matco, and it was the vendor itself, because you know, for whatever reasons, legal things. But you know, like I said, it just gets kind of crazy. So
what'd you bring back?
I didn't bring anything back except my wife.
Except my wife.
Yeah, no. I mean, the orders went out, and you know, hopefully, you know, we'll see. It'd probably be a couple weeks before I actually see my orders. So.
Well, I got to say, you know, you sent me the pictures, and the that new switchblade clip removal tool.
Yeah,
that made a splash. Like, you know, I sent you the video. Matco put their own video up, and it was pretty good. I mean, these guys, you know, it was a well produced video. You know, guys in the diner, and I sent that over to Justin too. And he's like, damn, I got to get. I said, you know, we all got to get one. I said, then I just want to see. I want to count the days, see how long it's going to take guys to sharpen them. Because now it's literally a flip open, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they took the one tool and our knife and put it together, and it flips open like a knife. It's like a pocket knife.
I don't know. I would say I don't know why you would need one. I mean, I guess then again, I got to say, you know, when I go over to the body shop, I mean, I see guys that just pulling cars apart all day.
Yeah.
So I maybe one of those guys, if he had one with a clip in his pocket, maybe that's how he'd want to carry one, because he's always.
Well, it's funny, and actually, I just thought about, and I had to see if I have one, but a long time ago, many moons ago, you remember the ones that had like Allen wrenches, and, you know, you fold them out, you know, it had a metal base, and and it had 4 on one side and 3 on the other, and they folded up, you know, and it unfolded. Well, they did one of those one time for a body man. It came with a panel, and it came with like 3 tools that folded up. It was just, I don't want to say it was really big. If I can find it, I'll take a picture, or I'll show you guys next week. I had one, but a lot of guys like that because they can, you know, carry it in their front pocket and pull it out when they needed it. It just was kind of bulky. Well, this is very similar to that. You know, you just have it and that's, you know, like I said, a body man uses those panel tools like that's just part of their main tool. So,
right.
I ordered 2 cases, and I just hope I get at least one to start out. So. You know, I just don't know how, you know, again, I'm don't mean to be negative about it on that part, but, you know, I hate
Right.
spending the money like I did and have to wait months and months and months to plan something.
Well, like I said, I think Matco really went out of their way in a good way, making that video and putting it out because it was entertaining as hell. I mean, to watch it, I watched it a couple times.
Did you saw that when they were at the golf course? And did you saw what they used for the tee? Right, a 10 millimeter.
Yeah.
10 millimeter socket, and they hit the ball off, and then of course they used that tool to fix the debit. Where they tore up the ground. I mean,
that's what I mean. It was very well thought out and produced, and I mean, I've never really thought of any of the tool companies as being stodgy or, stuffy or anything. I've never thought that, but this certainly showed that somebody now is really thinking, how to
marketing,
entertain an audience.
Yeah.
Because I was laughing my ass off. I thought it was great. I was chuckling. I said, that is really, now you got my attention,
Right.
So I thought that was very, very interesting. And then, high praise to Matco for that. That's
we're coming along, and like I said, I just hope I got to talk to the new guy in charge.
Good.
That was a good conversation, and like I said, he has a lot of good ideas. Their goals and ideas, aren't way out there. And he understands there's a lot of internal rebuilding, and that's
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. And like I said, it was good time. I really, in a way, I wish I had. I mean, we had stayed longer. I'm not gonna lie, man. We flew. We got in, did our thing. I left. Usually, it's a half day on Wednesday. And I usually leave later in the day on Wednesday, but I had the first flight out, and I got home 10 o'clock or whatever on Wednesday. And of course, I just jumped right in the truck and went out and did my day.
Oh wow!
And I'm wiped. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just I'm not 21 again.
31.
Yeah, I'm not even 31. I mean, I was like, holy crap.
I know.
I came home yesterday and I was like, I don't want. I mean, I was just a ball of yarn, but and today it was the same thing. I'm like, God, it's not even like I left my time zone and I'm already still lost,
Right.
But it was really good. We got we got a new 6S coming toolbox. And I'm okay with that. I really wish
screw you and your toolboxes.
Yeah, well,
I got a toolbox story for you.
Well,
it's the same old story. Those panel clip tools that I got from you. They have a fairly big handle on them, but I want to keep them in my main toolbox.
Right.
But I don't use them all the time. I don't have a dedicated body drawer because I'm not a body man. So I don't know why I took the top drawer of my bottom box, which I have some Torx drivers in, and it's not a deep drawer. So I put two of them one way, one the other way, and said, okay, move the drawer back and forth. Okay, it's okay. Closed it, fine. Until I went to open it again. It opened like an inch and stopped. I was like,
oh no,
son of a bitch. So of course I stood there and I shook the drawer. No, that did. I shook it again. No, it didn't do nothing. Now, if it was the drawer below it, I could have taken the drawer above it off, right?
But this is the top one, right?
There was nothing above. So I said, okay, I'll leave it alone. Go in the house. The next day, when I came out, I was doing something else. And I just said, okay, give me a minute. Let me try the drawer again. Nope, not coming out. So I took my Slim Jim for opening doors, and I kind of snuck it in there, and I was kind of moving it back and forth, and made a little bit of progress, but not too much. And I said, it's those freaking Matco tools with those big handles. God damn it. But really what it is, I mean, I'm blaming the Matco tools, but no, it's my toolbox, which is sorely outdated because, I bought the toolbox in the early 80s, so
right.
it doesn't have the capacities that the new boxes have. It took me like 3 or 4 days of playing around, and I finally got it. I got it open.
Got it open.
And now I took them out and I put them in the other damn toolbox. So I'll never remember where they are now. So, but
that's why I bought 2 of everything.
Yeah, I need 2 toolboxes. I just need 1 big toolbox is what I need.
Well, I don't know, Ray. You better watch out because I've got to get rid of some stuff. So.
I'll tell you something. Like I was talking about working on the Jeep again. I have I'm on my own when I'm working on stuff. There's no data, no nothing. So I came home and I said, you know what? I took this book out and I found all the specifications I needed, the fluid specifications, the tune-up specifications. I was like, thank God for this book. It's like, what a game changer. It really is, to have something that they compiled. If for people don't know, this is the specification guide. So it has all the specs for like everything, So
yeah, I found, like I said, cleaning up, and I don't have any use for it, and I'll send it to you if you can use it. I don't know what kind of you would know more about it than I would. Let me grab it real quick here. Hold on, and you tell me if you're interested in it because, like I said, it doesn't do me any good.
Okay.
Careful, Ray. You're going to get into something you don't even know what you're doing.
I know. You know what? Yeah. And I'm too stupid to say no.
Yep.
Papa Square, you guys in the truck?
Oh, yeah.
Where are you at?
Still on, let's see, Davis Mountain? Yeah, Davis Mountain Air Force Base in Arizona. We go to our last event this month tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
We were setting up everything today.
Trying to look up Debbie's tools.
Look up Debbie's tools. Never will. He's got them all in one spot in the garage.
Yeah.
Like I should be doing.
Yeah.
But I have to be careful because when I buy a tool, I always have to go, should I buy 2? Because invariably, hey, this is really neat. I can use this.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tell you something, and today is the day the Snap-on guy comes to the shop. I didn't even see him. I tell you, if a tool truck would have stopped today, man, I had a I would have bought in a second. I realized you don't realize what you need until you're working on something and you say, man, I need this. I had to cut an Otica clamp off of a hose, but it was kind of deep down in the engine bay. So I got some really good dikes. But what I needed was one of those real long pair of dikes.
Yeah.
And I don't have a pair. And I tell you, like if a tool truck stopped, I would have bought them on the spot. I probably would have bought a set. But
damn,
driven by. Alas, nobody stopped. So what did I do? I reached in, got myself all greasy and hung over the thing, and I got it with the short one. So when there's a will, there's a way. But I would have bought those long. I said, man, I've seen guys with these. I never really had a need for the super long ones. Today I did.
Yeah.
So
no matter what tool you have, you'll need one that you don't have.
Always.
Yeah. Well, that's like, it's funny. Like you were saying about those long, side cutters or dikes or whatever you want to call them. For years I only had a regular 6-inch pair,
Yeah.
And you just never think. And then one day I'm on the truck, and of course, you're looking and you see an 8-inch pair slightly, angled, and you're like, oh yeah, that might be nice, but I don't know. And then the next thing you know, you realize that's like your favorite pair now because the angle has enough leverage, and the extra, of course, she always talks about extra 2 inches would be great. And then, you got the extra 2 inches. And then he comes in and says, hey, I got this 10-inch pair. And you're like, wow, we got 2 more inches. I mean, shit, Well,
I tell you, for years, I had my regular size, I guess 6-inch. And I did have a longer pair with a little, the ends were a little angled.
Yeah.
And I used them for mostly electrical work, truthfully. Sometimes if I had to get under something, but those Otica clamps, I used to always take a whiz wheel to them and just cut them with a whiz wheel. I couldn't get down in there today to do that. So
what type of car was this on?
it's the Jeep, a Jeep
Oh,
Wrangler.
okay.
So I decided to take the power steering to flush the power steering fluid. So
because like on a German car, you know, it has those clamps, you know, a clamp like that, but they actually unlock. They spring. There's a pair of pliers that you squeeze and that unlocks it and locks it.
Yeah.
And the purpose of it, that's why a lot of times they have fuel fire issues, because people will cut them off and they would put a regular worm clamp on.
Oh, no.
But because of heat, the worm clamp loosens up and then they have a fuel leak.
Right. No, I like the Oka clamps. In fact, I have a good supply of them, and I have the tool. But like I said, I usually whiz wheel them off. But this time, I found a good pair of cutters. You can actually get in there at the little bow tie end, and if you grab it and kind of twist it, it'll open a little, and then if you can cut it, it'll just fall apart.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of work, but like I said, I did this power steering fluid. I sucked it out, and it would look like I was taking out 5W30 motor oil. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it was.
I had it hasn't been that cold here. You know, I think it was actually when was it? What was it? 2 weeks ago when we had a little cold snap.
Yeah, it's snow.
Yeah, and I didn't say we talking about this, but I had a power brake booster. My power brake booster was flashing, you know, when I go to hit the brakes, you know, and I'm like, man, what's going on here? And it has ATF in the boost for the booster, you know, it has a pump, you know, because it's diesel, you know, hydraulic, you know, and so I went and I don't even know why I did it, but I looked on the side of the level and I couldn't see any fluid. You know, I couldn't see the, you know, where the level would be. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's weird. So I, took the little cap off, opened, took my light, and it was dark. I mean, I had to come home and look down in there, and it was a block of ice in there.
Oh.
It was red. It looked like a red. I mean, the brake, you know, from the ATF, it was a block of ice, nice. And that's why it wasn't getting any, you know. So I guess I had a condensation buildup, and with the cold weather, the water froze in the ATF, and so I flushed that out the other day, and I said, well, since I'm here, I'll do the power steering, and the power steering, of course, you know. Extreme pressure. I mean, because the pump runs off the back of the flywheel.
Oh, wow.
But I opened that up and it was mud that came out of that too.
Nobody ever changes the power steering fluid. It's probably less. It paid less attention to than brake fluid.
Yeah, but it was really weird because, you know, my old truck, which was a, you know, same model basically than what I have now. And, you know, that was a 2002, and I ran that truck for 16 years, right? 16, 17 years. And never had, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I never changed that fluid. I mean, I would check it, you know, and it's always
full. Yeah.
It's always full, and it looked like transmission fluid. It just never,
right.
It might have been a little darker, but it never, you know, it's like it was a, Dextron ATF, you know?
I mean, if you look at all the fluids, the power steering fluid, you know, there's no combustion. It's not in the engine. It's just in a pump, and it circulates through the box. So really, I mean, it can get dirty over time, but it's not really exposed. Even brake fluid is exposed to more, you know, the heating and cooling cycles and the elements, the different elements that are in there. You know, the copper and the rubber and all that get in. That's why brake fluid gets dirty. It's usually rubber and copper that do it. But the power steering, it's kind of innocuous. It can be the most not look that fluid.
Yeah.
You know.
So
But-
it was crazy. And of course, now this truck is a 2015, and just same thing like with my power brake booster. It's all the same. And I mean, like I said, never really had any issues or never even had a problem to look. But I could not get over how, I mean, it looked like mud in that, and I just don't know. Everything's in the same component. It's all outside. The reservoirs are all behind the cab. I mean, all that stuff is exposed, and I'm just like, I said I never had an issue before, and here I am. I got this mud coming out, and I ran almost one of those big. I guess it's a gallon, right? Those gallon containers of ATF.
Wow.
Through it and got that done, and my power brake booster I did.
This is the one thing I'm looking at now, because I called my buddy at the shop and said, I need parts. I can't do anything until I get parts. And I made a list as I was working, and he says, "Oh, you know what? Can you get him? Go deal with the place and just have him send him." Like, all right. I said, the only thing I don't know about is, I took the heater hoses off, and they both look to me to be like 5/8 inch hoses. Usually one's 3/4 and one is 5/8.
Yeah.
And the power steering hoses, there was let's see, off the reservoir, there were two hoses. One of them was big, it looked like 3/4 inch, and the other one looks like a 1/2 inch. But I said to him, I'm a little hesitant to just order the hoses by size, because they could be metric hoses.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to go putting, a lot when you do that, if you switch a metric and American hose, they're off by a little bit. And if you have it where it's a little bit bigger and you got to clamp it down, I don't want to do that. But I couldn't find any listing that, and even the spec guide, it doesn't tell me the size of those hoses.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to rely on the parts store to hopefully give me the right stuff. So
yeah, that was like on my old truck. One day, the power steering line coming up out. It had a power steering cooler up front, and it ran through the frame and then came out. Well, it was a steel line, and it rusted in the frame, and it blew apart.
Uh-huh.
And so it was kind of funny, because I was real close to a shop that I was going to when that happened, and the mechanic that worked there at that time went on a test drive and saw me sitting there, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Oh, I blew a power steering hose. The line's messed up." And he's like, "Oh yeah, we can fix that real quick." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, whatever, dude." So he runs into the shop, runs back to shop, comes back, and it was a 10 millimeter line, the steel line, and he comes back and he has a piece of 3/8 fuel line.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
And I said,
Yeah.
I said, "That's not going to work." And he goes, "Yeah, it will." And I said, it's not pressured. I mean, there's a lot of pressure.
Right.
And he goes, "Oh, it'll be okay." And I said, "It ain't going to be okay." He said, "It's going to be okay." And then, I love this. This is the most famous. This is the best line ever. "What do you know?"
Oh,
I mean, this is what he tells me. Like, "What do you know?" I'm like, "Oh, okay."
What did he say after you smacked him in the head?
So I said, "Go ahead." So he puts it on, and we start the truck up, and he's puts in fluid, and he says, "Yeah, you should be good to go." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, let me turn the steering wheel." So I just
do that
with one finger, I just laid it on, like where the cross is in the steering wheel.
Right.
So it just started to, and that hose blew up about that big.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And I was like, "See, it doesn't have the pressure." He goes, "Well, it's fuel." I mean, I said, 150 psi is different from 1250 psi.
Right.
And he's like, oh man, I don't know what going. I said, I'll figure it out. Thanks a lot, buddy. So
Yeah.
I called the local parts store and I said, do you guys have any 10 millimeter steel line and couplers? And he's like, yeah, I got 3/8. And I said 3/8 and 10 millimeters not the same.
No.
And he goes, yeah, I got 10 millimeter. I got some. And I said, okay. I said, send me what you got. And told him who I was. He goes, oh, yeah, I know. Okay. So about a half hour later, he shows up, and of course, it's 3/8. Yeah. And so I sat there, and I was like, because I was just going to cut the piece and put a compression fitting in between the area, and I was like, okay, well, I keep the 3/8 side. And I ended up playing around with a whole bunch of fittings that I had in the truck, and I had to drill out to get from the 10 millimeters to the 3/8.
Oh, wow.
And I had to piece it all together, and it worked, but it took me about 2.5 hours longer. And thank God I was in the tool truck that had the tools and everything that I needed that I could do that.
That sure helps. It was just a little while ago. I was working on it was a Ford. It was basically a Lincoln Mark 5, 4, whatever, Bugatti. I don't know. Anyway, and rusty brake lines. So I had the guy send me some lines. I needed some 3/16, Bendaflex lines, and I was trying to look at how I could piece it in, and so I knew what size I could use to just cut out the bad section. But then I thought the next step ahead and said, okay, if it starts getting bad again, how much bigger do I have to go? So I had him send me a couple different lengths. And I did that because I wanted it to have the ends on it, so I'd only have to flare the two other sides to make less flaring. And the first line he sends me, I cut out the old stuff, I bend it, contour it to the chassis, do my flares, put it together, test the brakes, and it leaks.
Oh.
And then I realized why, because I checked the fittings and they were tight. I was like, wait a minute. And I looked at the label. It was a piece of metric line. And again, it was really, really close, but close. Just don't cut it when you're dealing with fluids.
Not with metric.
What's up, Coach?
Well, that's the problem, because like this right here is a new. Let me see. It's kind of a hard picture because the tool is black. But see that?
Yeah.
It's a brake line bending tool. It's got two different sizes. Over like
okay.
Two different radiuses for bending brake lines. But this is what I hate about it, because if you read in the caption, it says 3/16 / 4.75.
Right. Well,
so,
for bending purposes, I could see that.
Right. But like I said, that's one of the problems that I have with the guys that have the little dimple, to do the double flare.
Right.
They actually make one that's 4.7 and they make one that's 3/16.
Right.
And 95% of the guys will not deburr the tool. After they cut the pipe,
they
don't deburr it. Then they try to stick either, and they always pick like the wrong size if it's a metric line or a standard line, but they put the wrong nipple in there. And of course, they wonder why they break the nipple off, because it grabs a hold. It's just a hair too tight or a hair too loose. And it wiggles in around in there, and that's what causes the problem.
Yep.
Actually, one of the nice things that I saw, and I can't remember if it was, I want to say it was Lyle. I can't remember. I had to go back and see if I took a picture of it. But they actually made a deburring tool very similar to like a pocket screwdriver that goes like to take a valve stem seals out, the valve stems out of the tires.
Yeah.
But they actually made it with the deburring tool part. And that was pretty interesting. I ordered a case of those. I figured that's
what
really
I
neat.
have? I have this. I put it in my brake flaring kit. I don't know where I got it. I've had it for 100 years. It was like a triangular file.
Yeah.
That somebody like ground off the file teeth on. So it's like a triangular knife, and it's wrapped with electrical tape, and that's my deburring tool. As soon as I do a line, I stick that in. It's triangular, and I just shave that inside of the thing, and man, it cuts like a knife.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody made a new one, I don't even know if I'd want to buy it because this thing works so good. But yeah,
so that deburring tool is like that's almost the most crucial part of a brake line kit, and nobody uses it.
I'll tell you the other thing, and I've gotten bit by this a lot. When you clamp the line into your tool, whatever kind of tool it is, a lot of times that tool leaves serrations on the line. And it's a good idea to take those off too. Either a piece of sandpaper or just a light file. Take those off because you could have trouble getting the fitting on.
Wait, guys, I got to jump ship early tonight.
There were
You're
two
gonna
of you
go to
on here,
work?
Louis. How'd you do that?
My other computer was next to me.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're gone now. Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good week, and if you need me for anything, hit me up.
You got it, Louis.
Hey, I just showed up to the party. Come on, man.
Yeah. I gotta do my chores before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Dude,
All right, I appreciate you guys.
All right.
All right, take care. Be safe.
Yeah.
You too.
So what was it you were grabbing, Brian? That you were
Oh well, I was just let everybody see what the deburring tool was if they had any.
Right.
Right.
That's kind of a standard one. Yeah. Again, look.
And then, like I said, when you
get the end, yeah.
And then the little pucks I was talking about are these guys, the double flaring dies.
Right.
And they go in, and like I said,
right.
They make a 8.8 or a 5/16.
Yeah.
And then they also have like 3/8, 6 millimeter, a 1/4 inch. Those are all close in size. Like I said, that's why I kind of hate some of those tubing lines because they'll have both on there, like 8, 10,
right,
or 3/8 and 10 millimeter, and it's nowhere close. I mean, you are closer with 3/16 and 4.75.
Right.
That is a closer size, but when they try to group all that stuff in there,
I'm kind of interested in that new. I mean, I'm always interested, in that new bending tool because, I mean, any new brake tool has my attention.
Yeah, I ordered a couple of them. Like I said, I can't wait to get it in because it was like it was a little smaller. Like this is a striker, This is a striker. It was very close to this size. It was a little bit smaller than that. Just to show you how the size of that.
That's compact.
And like I said, it had one side was a bigger, like a 1/2 inch radius, and then a 1/4 radius on the other side. And it had a loop thing in it. I'm like you, Ray. I buy that stuff. It's kind of funny. Remember, a couple of years ago, they came out with like a pair of needle nose plier that had the ends to bend on.
You mean, yeah, I own them. I have them.
Yeah, I bought them and I thought it would be great. I very rarely use it. It's just kind of awkward,
I bought those when I was doing my Pontiac, and I had to make some really tight 90s. I wanted to make the tightest 90 I could. And I thought those pliers were the only way to really do it. And yeah, they worked okay, but not great.
And it's funny that you say that because back in the day, this is when I was at the dealership, and we didn't have a lot of, I mean, it was because the cars were newer, and we didn't have a lot of that brake line bending stuff.
Right.
The only time we ever got into that is if you had one that had been wrecked, or where the suspension was just torn out of the car, from the early styles of Fast and Furious Tokyo style stuff that people thought they could do. But I had made, and it's I'll have to dig it out. But I had made a piece of wood that had 3 or 4 different cap sizes screwed on there that had radius bends. And I ended up using that, like I said, it was just something simple. And of course, you spend all this money on buying, pliers and benders. It's just like it drove me crazy. Even like the old school, the one that had the 4 rings and that had the different bends, the black handle, and you did it.
Yeah. I have 2 of those.
Yeah. But it was like, well, why can't we just have one size? Because that 4 rings of other stuff always got in the way. Always got in the way.
Yeah.
And you find yourself with about 8 or 9 things that you never really use. Of course, something comes along and you buy it, and hopefully it becomes something you can use.
Yeah, and you never know. I mean, and then sometimes just a stupid little piece of scrap metal that you bend and do that becomes like the go-to perfect tool to do that job. Yeah. You never know. You never know.
So I always like yourself. I always look and I've held it in my hands and thought about it, but that Eastwood bender cut, tubing thing.
It's been on my list for a few years already. Yeah.
And I look at it and I say, I already have the hydraulic. I have the Master Cool hydraulic one.
Right.
And it's, that, like I said, and it works awesome. I mean, there's, I don't have, I never really had a problem. It depends on how much I'm going to do, because I still, I think you got one of the, this kit right here.
Yeah. That's a great kit.
It's a great kit.
Phenomenal.
And I've used it. This is out where my my hydraulic one's not out it.
You see, but that's the thing. Those are 2 in my mind, and the reason I bought that kit is because they're 2 totally separate application uses. The Master Cool, you want to chuck that thing in a bench vise and be making lines. That kit I got because I happened to do work on the tow truck and the flatbed and the Silverado. Everything was under the truck on the brake lines, and I had to get close to the chassis, and even my regular old school, my snap-on flaring kit,
the T-bar.
It was just a little too bulky under there. And that kit that you sold me, that was the game changer. I'm like, man, this is the close quarters special ops of brake line, of brake flaring, man. It's phenomenal. And you can use it outside on a bench as well. But the Master Cool, you couldn't drag that under there. You wouldn't have the room. It'd be worse than the regular kit.
Yeah.
So
like I said, if you like, the Master Cool one works great, or the hydraulic one, like I said, works great. If you're, like I said, you can bend all your lines and make it, and not crawl around and be contained in a tight area. You know? So
exactly. So everything has its application, and I don't mind doubling up on tools like that, because if that's the tool I need to get that job done, I mean, that's what it's all about. You don't want to be handcuffed. So I did see, in some of the pictures you sent me, they did have that the pressure bleeder.
The brake hydraulic, they had that whole setup with all the different pressure bleeders.
Now, I've been seeing one, it popped up in my YouTube feed, a couple people using it. It's made by Motive. and it's like a yard sprayer. You pump the pressure up on top. There's a valve, and the guy made a big deal about saying, when you release the pressure, you don't want to release it at the master cylinder cap. You want to release it from the tool.
Yes.
Of course, the tool has this big ring that you got to why didn't they just put a pressure release on there?
Because it's too simple.
Because I'm thinking if I end up with one of those motive ones, I'm going to put a freaking Schrader valve in that thing so I can push it and release the pressure. It's so stupid.
Yeah, they the only other thing that, of course, was really big. Where was it? Was the that was battery, the coolant flush for EVs.
Okay.
And that was that right there with all the adapters.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's the coolant for changing they flush them out for the batteries
the battery,
underneath the car.
The battery coolant, yeah.
That's damn it, I forgot the booklet. Shit. I just remember he had a whole pack of books there. And I meant to grab one before I left, and I forgot. Just saw that picture. Damn it. But like I said, I'm dumbfounded when I go into Tesla and how much coolant is all over the place. And like I said, those batteries are cooled 3 different ways. They have air circulating through over top. They have coolant, and they also have, what was the other one? Air, coolant,
Freon.
And Freon from the air conditioning running through the center of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool to keep the batteries cool in those cars.
They should try it with the e-bikes in the city. They wouldn't keep blowing up like they do.
Yeah. So they have that going on, and a lot of guys try to use it's. I think it's something to do with pressure. That's why these things are regulated different.
Yeah.
When they try to use, and most guys don't care because they just crank it up. This was that demo the picture they had there, and the brake.
Okay.
To
there you go.
the
Yeah,
brakes.
it's got the feed. Okay, yeah, it's got the
and
feed.
it had the big pump down here, and it hooked to the caliper.
Is the pump and that pump is battery powered? You're saying?
No, this one is air. The hand pump for its air. That's it has your air hose hooks to the bottom where the handle is over here.
Okay.
And then it has a trigger, and you pulled it, and it creates a vacuum. It has shop air going through, and it creates a vacuum.
Well, that's kind of like the Mighty Vac I have, except you put shop air on it, and then you just throw a switch on top.
And then see, this is the in the background there is a bigger pump.
Yep.
To do that, and as you can see, they put a screw lid on top.
Right, but the Matco has the release on top. That was the problem I have with my Mighty Vac. I have to unscrew that big lid,
right,
to dump it. And it's like, why didn't and the Matco I know had a separate chamber on it. That's what I like better about the Matco tool.
And then
I think now I gotta go. I gotta go pressure. That's the next step. I gotta go pressure.
Yeah. Then they had the. This is a coolant refill gun, and as you can see, it sits down on top, and it's sitting on a cut up a radiator, and it sucks the fluid in and pushes the air out as it's filling.
Nice. That's good too. That's cool.
So they had that, and our boy Luke won again. Top innovating tools. He's holding his little trophy.
Nice. What was the top innovative tool?
Yeah. We had front of a Cadillac that we could buff on and tear the paint all up.
Okay. What was the tool that Luke won for?
It was the redesign on the headlight, the neck lights.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was also he had something else with tool storage, I think.
Yeah, I know.
He was
I know. Tool storage was kind of big with them even last year. Yeah.
It was really interesting. I didn't spend much time talking to these guys. I'm still a little upset with them, but the Power Probe guys, they had a pretty big display.
They got a new line. Yeah, I saw their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't know if you guys came out. I see Snap-on now this week has been pushing. They have a soldering. It's like a soldering gun, but it takes their
$100 cheaper than them.
It takes their regular battery in the bottom, right? Battery powered soldering gun.
Same gun. It's our battery doesn't come out. It's rechargeable. Okay. We're $100 cheap, $89 cheaper than them.
Wow.
So, and it's a great soldering iron. Instant heat up, very good. The only thing you got to remember is you can turn it on, but you have to. There's like a safety thing where you got to push the button. The actual light has to come on in the front. It has a headlight, so you can work it in the dark, you know?
Yeah.
But you got to push that on because it's a safety so it doesn't heat up.
They actually said, I know on their tool, they said it has an automatic shut off if it tips over.
Yeah.
But if you want to work in like an inverted area, you could do something to override it.
Right. It's pushing the button. This was big. I was waiting for more information. I know we don't have the regular solar. I meant to show Lewis, but we have the tool truck there had solar panels on the roof.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And this is their big thing, kit. It's based on a 375 average cost savings in fuel per month.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that was the big thing. And then with the Switchblade, I'm sure you guys have all seen the post I had.
Yeah. I almost want to pull up the video and play that video because it's so cool.
So, yeah. And let's see. What else did I have?
I'm thinking I want to I think I would take one of them and sharpen both of those ends so I can make like a little fork out of it and pick up shrimp or something.
And then I had competition when we went to Universal. The wife hooked up with Scooby-Doo.
Yo, baby.
Had to. So after that, I went down to Uncle Tony's pizza place and had a pizza pie all by myself.
Nice.
It was funny. We, because at Universal they have, the Harry Potter thing, and then they had, what was it like, New York, like a part of Old Town New York, and what was the other? San Francisco, and different. Each block was a different thing. Right. And we get there, and of course, each section, like China, they had Chinatown, they had Chinese food, and I said, we're going to New York and we're getting pizza. I haven't had any pizza. I want a pizza. Yep. So I can't remember the name of the place it was, but went in there.
Grimaldi's, maybe?
I don't know. I thought I took a picture of it, but I didn't. Right. But we go in, and sure enough, man, they had, good old slice of pizza, big old pie, and it was you bent it, and you hear the crack, and it was like, oh God, and I'm like, I'm just cramming this stuff down, and the wife was like, go back up and get more, and I'm eating. They had these cannolis, up there, and we're cramming cannolis in and eating pizza. And Jenny goes, how much more pizza are you going to eat? And I said, I don't know, but this is really good,
I said, I'm going to wait.
And so, like, I'm hanging out, like, at the counter, and there's people walking through, and I'm waiting for a hot one to come out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm waiting, and of course, they had closed the park, and it was just all of us. Mako was on this one section, it was just the Mako everybody at the convention was there, So I'm standing there. Of course, the hot, big old tray comes out, And I kind of like step in line and like move out of my way, kid. Push two guys out and I grabbed two more pieces. And Jenny goes, I thought you were just going to have one more. And I said, no, I'm eating this stuff, man. So we're sitting there and we get done. And I look over and like 2 tables over is Antron Brown, our top fuel racer,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is Antron doing in here, man? He should be eating pizza. I mean, this isn't, So I walked over and I said, AB, and he goes, Brian. I said, dude, don't eat any more pizza. I said, they're going to have to fit the seat to fit me.
Yeah.
I said, you keep eating. I said, this isn't good. He goes, man, I only had one piece. I swear, I only had one piece. And I was like, Antron, man, you can't be eating stuff like this. It's a race season, man. We got to keep you
slim,
keep you thin and light.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, it was really good. And
did you get to meet up with?
I don't do much with the rides and so forth. They had the rides, and so one of the other distributors took Jenny out, and they went on all the roller coasters and went running around. But
and you went back to the pizzeria.
Yeah, well, I thought about it, man. I tell you, that was really good. And like I said, when you're hungry for pizza, you want good.
I gotta send you a link because my buddy from the shop sent it to me the other day. Jim, you might know this place. I think it's called Utopia Bagels.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the service road in Fresh Meadows, which is right by the UD. It's like, holy shit.
Yep. Yep.
They got this video, Brian. I'll send it to you. The guy makes a bagel. It's got to be at least 3 feet in diameter.
Really? Wow.
Maybe more. And he shows them, like, he makes it and he floats it into this big vat of oil and it fries and he takes it out and he cuts it with like this chainsaw. And then he's grabbing the hot dough with 2 hands, scooping out the dough from the bagel. And then what's he doing? He's ladling on sauce and cheese. He makes a freaking pizza out of it.
Oh my God.
It's $90. So he sent me a text today. He says, what do you think? I said, when are we going? We'll go. Every time I go to UD, I go right past there. I'm like, we're right there. Oh man.
Yeah, they worked poor Antron. AB was overtime, man. He just sat there signing. That poor guy. I couldn't.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny because this was I think it was Sunday night. And he had sent me that during the afternoon. And about 10 o'clock at night, my buddy Cliff, he calls the show all the time. Cliff sends me a text about something else. And I says, hey, because I know he grew up in that area. So I said, hey, we got to go check this place out. And I send him that video. And he writes back to me. He goes, are you ghosting me? He goes, you follow me? He goes, literally, me and my wife were there 45 minutes ago. He goes, and I always stop on the way home. He goes, they put about a half pound of cream cheese in every bagel. He sends me a picture of it. And then he said when he was on the job in the city on the way home, that was always his stop. Get bagels, go home. But he says, I was just there. I was like, well, I'm going to be just there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, guys, time for me to bill.
Getting hungry, Jim?
Yeah, I am now. Thanks.
No problem.
Take it easy.
All right.
Unfortunately, Jim has to work so he can buy one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta keep up the bagel count.
Yeah. It's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you were you able to meet up with Keith while you were down there?
No, I'm really I tell you, I really wish I had called him when we landed, because that was the only time that we didn't have anything going on or anything happening, and we had gotten in. It was fairly early, but like I said, when we got there Saturday, they did something. Usually it was a little different because we had to actually, with the nice part about it was as soon as you got off of the bus and got into the place, they checked you in to the convention right then and there. So it wasn't like you had to go go get your room and then go find the convention stuff and get checked in. They did it all right then and there. And we had our room right away. Usually we get there and they don't have the rooms ready. And we got the room, went up, and like I said, I sat there, I guess for like about a half hour, 45 minutes. And I said, damn, I should have called Keith, because the way it's looking, we're not going to have much time since we're not staying. I really wish I stayed longer. I say that all the time after I leave. But
speaking of leaving, you know what? I'm going to end the stream here.
Oh,
so we'll continue on. And Justin, if you're around, you want to pop in, let me know. We'll get you in. We'll talk to you. Otherwise, we'll be back next week when we're playing in traffic. So until then.
Yep. Awesome. You guys stay safe.
Sayonara.